but my back has never been the same. For about 7, 8, 9 days ish after that, I couldn't actually walk straight up. I was almost at a not 9, I'd say 45-degree angle from my hips. I couldn't physically stand up. How's it going, everyone? Welcome to part 3 of the injury series in the gym. All right, we have covered in episode 1 the levator scapulae injury of the neck while doing pressing movements. In episode 2, we checked out some of the forearm muscles basically involved in lower back, low bar squatting that tend to get injured from the flexion or extension of the wrist on either the inside or the outside. It is lateral epicondylitis. And so on episode 3, we will be looking at the lower back and squatting. Seems probably most like the most common injury is going to be lower back stuff, especially for new people in the gym. Maybe their form is not perfect. But anyways, we are going to do the same thing. Jump onto the Wacom tablet, do some doodling, write down or color in the muscles involved, and talk a little bit about the injury itself. So we'll meet back here in front of the camera to talk about how to avoid it, and then if it does happen, how to rehab it. So I'll see you in the next part here. Alrighty, so we are back to the drawing tablet, and we are going to be covering some of the muscles of the lower back. Alright, so first of all, I do talk about this a little bit at the end, but a lot of these lower back injuries are not actually going to be these muscles that I'm going to be showing you, but we are going to still run through it because these muscles do get strained in squats and any lower body or posterior chain exercises in general. So jumping right into it, we're probably just going to jot down most of the erector spinae muscles. They seem to be the ones or the culprits. So we'll go white because we can put some of the tendons in. But we're just going to start scribbling, okay? There are a few that are going to be connecting and sort of wrapping off these. I'm going to just do most of these tendons first, okay? Okay. So those are some insertion points. There's also going to be an absolute load along these ribs, but we'll switch to red first. So we have the erector spinae spinalis. And these are just literally connected. That's what these guys are. They're just connecting spine to spine to keep you vertical. So the bottom area of the spine will be pulling on the top in any sort of rolling of the back, if that makes sense. So these are going to be spinalis right here. And we'll switch colors just because I like it to look colorful. And then we'll do this massive chunk that's connecting all this stuff down here for the most part. And this one's gonna swing all the way up and sort of just connect like so along this center line of these ribs. Not to the spine itself actually, but this is gonna have multiple insertion points from this origin here. So this is gonna grab on to like all sorts of these ribs. Like it's gonna be tendon all along this connected to this main muscle where it's grabbing onto these ribs. And obviously this is gonna be on both sides, okay? I'm just doing one side to make it a little bit easier. Let me just give it a fat label right here. Now spelling this is going to be costalis. Okay, that's the blue. And now we can go back to green. And then we're going to go with this one, right? So this is all going to be green. And it's, again, going to ride up just outside of this and finish behind this. It actually keeps going. We'll just do an arrow. So this is actually the iliocostalis. I had this backwards. But we'll no problem. We'll just change that. So these are all connecting to these ribs, and it goes up. Now, let me fix this error here on my labeling. And it's actually the longismus. Longismus. There we go. And these are all erector spinae, keeping your spine erect. So let's just put that up here. That's the starting term for all this. So erector spinae, longismus, erector spinae, spinalis, you get the idea. Those are the three. There's going to be a lot of pain in this area. Lower back pain will be associated with these tendons connecting to these muscles. But again, like I just said, it is very likely that these muscles aren't actually the issue, okay? But if you are just running into lower back muscle strain and fatigue, these are going to be the problem. You have these insertion points right here, this whole massive section of connected tendons to all these muscles that reach up along your back. So there you have your little visualization. It's definitely like, if you know what I'm talking about, you're gonna have a gnarly amount of pain up in this area. It's gonna be where all these are connecting to. There will be an inflammation, and all this is just gonna, since it all connects down, obviously down up in there, it's gonna be an absolute nightmare of soreness. But I do want to mention again, if it is the actual spine that is the problem, okay, all these muscles in this area, like I said, are going to be inflamed as a result of that. Not because these muscles themselves are being damaged, but because the actual vertebrae here are going to be, I don't know, it could be compression issues, you could have disc issues. So there's that. We'll jump back to the camera, and I want to talk about a few more things, kind of talking about the spine rather than the lower back muscles. So I'll see you guys there in a second. So we are back to talking again after our little illustration, okay? So what I have learned from a little bit of research and experience over the past 2-3 years of having my own permanent back injury, we're going to be talking about how to avoid this lower back strain of the muscles or even possibly the spine itself. And if you do end up getting it, how to rehab it, and then just stretches in general that will save your back in the future. So one, how to avoid straining these lower back muscles, all right? Number one thing is mobility across the entire body, basically. Your ankles, your knees, your hips, even sometimes your shoulders. These all need to be worked on, the mobility for them, because they all affect the stance in which you get into when squatting. And a bad stance and bad posture or squat form will result in injuries 100% of the time. It's just a matter of time, basically. So that being said, for ankle mobility, there's plenty of things you can do. When I started to squat heavier, I had sort of a tight Achilles. And so a lot of the things I do is elevate the heel a little bit. That helps your ankles, and it actually helps you get into a more comfortable squat for your hips. Better for your hip mobility as well. There's a lot of things you can do. I'll take a band, wrap it around my ankles, and pull left and right to work on some stability stuff. There's those things. And then when it comes to the hips, you need to have strong hips. A lot of people, young people, right? They're in the gym, they're squatting, they know that they need to hit squats, it's for the legs, and then they do leg extensions, leg curls, maybe some leg press, okay? Well, there's a lot of beneficial workouts you can do or lifts you can do to prevent these kind of injuries in general, just by strengthening the entire lower body, okay? And that's going to be things like glute bridges, all right, for the hips. I'll put a little picture of what that looks like if you don't know what it looks like. They're hip thrusts, basically. Glute bridges are hip thrusts. Those are really good for the hips. Single leg stuff, even single leg RDLs are good for the hips and for the ankles and for the knees. So it's just you kind of want to work in some like not mobility, but just like ligament tendon strengthening workouts instead of just smashing your legs with a heavy squat. I know it feels amazing and the other stuff is really boring, but super important for not getting injured, and not being injured results in more gains as you do not end up laying in your bed on the day that you were supposed to be doing leg day. Okay. Another thing is hip adduction, which is where you put your legs and you pull them together on the good girl machine, right? And then hip abduction is the bad girl. You're spreading your legs. Those are good as well, okay? But let's say you do end up running into this lower back problem. You went for a squat and absolutely destroyed your back. We do have a story time here. I'll make it quick. My personal experience and why I find this very important is college, right? I was playing football. Our team got absolutely manhandled one Saturday. And so the strength coach decided as punishment, he would put us at a 95% of our max next day on our squats and cleans. We were all beat to death and pretty tired, but I understand like punishment, right? Makes sense. You guys suck. Let's get you working in the gym again. Long story short, I'm on my last rep, second to last rep, and I go down and there is a snap, pop, crack, whatever you want to call it, right in the lower back. And I like lose all my strength, you know, like you just kind of like freak out. I drop to the bottom of the squat. I ended up unwisely working my way back up, racked the bar, but my back has never been the same. For about 7, 8, 9 days-ish after that, I couldn't actually walk straight up. I was almost at a like, not 9, I'd say 45-degree angle from my hips. I couldn't physically stand up. Never got it checked out. I wasn't advised to go see if something was wrong. And now I go to tie my shoes, and if I'm not careful, I could throw my back out for literally a week if it's bad. So very important to maintain a healthy back form when squatting, keeping your natural curvature of your spine in place. You want to have your mobility perfectly tuned so you do not slip something out of place. Long story short, is very important, okay? But anyways, if you do end up having this problem like me, my best advice, and this is just personal experience, not research, anything, is you could possibly switch to low bar squat. Now, I don't know if that's going to be the same for everyone. I actually ended up with this injury because of high bar. And if you're high barring and you start to get tired, you do lean forward. And as the bar is higher on your back, there's a lot more leverage for it to tear your back to pieces. So I ended up switching to low bar squat. And if you remember from episode 2, that led to some epicondylitis issues in the elbow. So it's this whole thing, right? Make sure your back stays safe, boys. But low bar squat can help get you into a more comfortable, a little bit of a wider leg stance position where you're using a lot of your butt cheek rather than sometimes your lower back. And I found that was very helpful. Just make sure now your low bar squat form is good and you stack your wrists rather than flexing or extending, or you will run into problems in the old elbow, okay? So there's low bar that you can do. Obviously, if you are, and like, you kind of feel your back like getting sore often, getting really just take some time away from heavy squats. Honestly, work on really getting into that good, comfortable form before you do trash your back. Like, it's so important. Just focus on, and I know it sucks. It sucks going to the gym after squatting 400 some pounds, like, and then you go in there and you're doing 225 or even 185, and it's just really good locked in form. It might feel embarrassing right away, but trust me, there's guys and girls in that gym that will look over seeing you do that and have mad respect because you're not ego lifting. Like, you might not think it's happening, but there will be people looking at you like, fuck yeah, that guy like knows he's got to take some weight off, really work on the form. Everyone does appreciate that. Trying to think of something else here. What else you could do to help your back? I might as well do that video or show the videos up here. And so either or, if I'm doing one of those, it's just some stretches. There's the cat cow from yoga that you can do, and I'll just throw it up in the video. It's good for more so the actual spine and the compression issues itself rather than the muscles of the back, because again, like I said, it's more likely that your spine, be it disc or whatever injury, is more internal that you're getting from your lower back pain than it is your muscles. It's just that internal issue will then cause muscle spasms and inflammation in the back, causing in turn your lower back muscles, like we saw in the drawing, to feel sore when really it's a deeper issue. Okay. The cat cow or cat camel, I guess people do call it, that's really good. You can go into a single leg RDL, which again, I'll show someone doing it. Single leg RDL, and you'll be twisting and opening your hips and closing. That will help your hips and in turn help your back. Don't always, like, if you have a lower back issue, don't always think like just pulling your knees to your chest or rolling out on a foam roller is going to be the solution, because again, it might not be the superficial muscles of the back, but a deeper problem. So that is what I have for you guys. I hope it was helpful and you did get something from this. And if you did, if this was helpful and you got something from it, drop a like and subscribe. And most of all, actually comment. I really like reading through comments and people's experiences with their own injuries. It really sucks to read, but it's interesting to see how other people combat their injuries with rehab, and if maybe they do something that completely eliminated the pain from their life. So comment below your story, and if this was helpful, whatever. Thanks for watching this 3-part series. If you haven't, this is actually part 3 of my most common gym injuries. This is lower back. Episode 1 was the levator scapulae of the neck that gets injured when in a pressing motion. Episode 2 was epicondylitis, or golfers or tennis elbow, from low bar squats. And here we have the lower back issues and spine compression issues, okay? So thanks for watching. Like, sub, comment, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Hey everyone, thanks for swinging by the channel today. If you enjoyed the video or the videos on the channel, drop a like, subscribe, and turn that bell on if you want to be notified for more videos. But again, thanks for coming by, and I'll see you guys in the next one.